Okay, 54. Right, so we're live now. We're just counting down.
Awesome.
Oh, we already have people on board. Welcome, 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 everybody.
God, I just realised my phone when it took the screen off, so I'll have to silence my phone.
Right, yes. Should play a little bit of music actually, but we've got 87765.
Welcome to Earthstar Freedom Friday. I am the Krypton-Knight, and I've come today to bring you the latest and greatest information on the blockchain, cryptocurrency, decentralized finance, and how we as the people can get free of the matrix.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Gerald Lopez, and we've got Tony Knight, Krypton-Knight, with us today on this Freedom Friday. And so today we're going to go further into the blockchain, and for those of you who have joined us, you're very wise people, because I think this is where the world is going. This is where the economy is going. This is where finance and business are going. So I think this is the right moment to get to grips with this new technology and find out what is it all about, and how can I get into it? How can I fit in? So Tony's going to talk about, he's going to go further. He explained the blockchain last weekend, static noise coming through. Okay, we'll see how it goes. Maybe I'm speaking too loud. We're going to talk about, so we talked about blockchain. We're going to go further and talk about tokenization. So what is the token economy? We're going to look at security tokens. What is staking? So staking is really an important aspect that goes beyond just holding on to coins. It's actually something like term deposits, where you're actually investing and you're getting interest. And when, why is everything going onto the blockchain, and how is it going to affect the cryptocurrency? So as more and more people come on board, it's going to have massive impact on the whole system, not only just on prices of coins, but on basically everything in economy and finance. This is what we believe. But to start off, Tony is going to start off by talking about where we are at in the economy, the traditional economy, and what the Great Reset is about, and why this is the response for the Great Reset. So thanks a lot for joining us, Tony. And yes, what is the Great Reset, and what are you going to talk about today? Tell us a bit more.
Yeah. Thanks, Gerald. Hi, everyone. Great pleasure to be back here again on Freedom Friday. I'm going to start off by talking a bit more about this Great Reset that we've been hearing about, because that can set a bit of a scene where we're at in the world today, and then I can go a bit more into those other topics that Jill just mentioned, because I see those as very viable, very real solutions to mitigate or even eventually negate the whole scary spectre of this Great Reset. They use wonderful words. They say Great Reset, but it really is nothing great about it at all, I believe. What is the Great Reset? Well, from my research, I believe it's not just a monetary reset. When we think about money and we think about transacting, it affects every area of life, and this reset is going to affect every area of life. It's their plans. We've got to put it in perspective. This is what they want to do. but whether they're going to pull it off or not is another matter. I know a lot of people will get despondent on this because the powers that be can seem all powerful, and they've just about always got their way on the earth for actually many thousands of years now. They've done many history, going right back to Babylonian days. And in fact, this is where they got a lot of the ideas for the current system today, was from Babylon and Rome, and to some extent Greece. But the Great Reset is a social revolution that they're planning, using what they call the greening of the economy. And the greening of the economy is linked into their idea of climate change. And it says that we are destroying the planet through CO2. In a nutshell, basically, that our CO2 emissions are destroying the planet, and this is what's causing climate change. So we need to reset the way that we conduct our lives. And then this is also dovetailing and it's dovetailing and integrated with the United Nations Agenda 2030, which is another. It's written in very beautiful language about how we got to be sustainable and we need self-sufficiency and all of this, but it's not talking about our best interests at heart. It actually wants to crowd us into confined cities with 5G, take us off the land. This is why you're seeing the talk about beef and meat production needs to be reduced. We need synthetic meat now, apparently, and this is going to be much better for the environment and for us. And they're also creating these green bonds. We know about the carbon tax. So they're basically taxing these huge companies for their so-called emissions, which is all well and good, but the companies are simply passing on that to us. We are the end user. We are the guarantors of the current system. We're the backstop. We always have been. So this is going to mean a massive increase in taxes. It's going to be a significant. It's basically the end stage of their game that has been in play for this particular stage of the plan has been in operation for hundreds of years. And we're coming down to the wire now. We're coming down to the end point. And it has been accelerated somewhat by other events that are happening on Earth, with people waking up. The coronavirus was their way of also accelerating it as well for their own ends. But what this is going to mean is basically a fully socialist kind of environment. We're all a lot of people are going to become very dependent on the government, and this is why having good sound money and sound finances is absolutely critical, because that keeps us independent. This is why having small businesses that are doing well, small to medium businesses, are the lifeblood of the economy. In fact, it's small business that make up about 70% of the tax take. So when you think about that, that's a huge percentage. When you consider there's these massive super corporations on the planet that are only paying the other 30%, that's an extreme distortion right there. So with centralization and with them being able to basically issue their own digital currency. Now I'll make a thing here. Their digital currency is not the crypto or encrypted money or cryptocurrency that I am essentially talking about. We are talking about two different things. The money system really is already by and large digital. It's just that we have this cash as well in our hands, so we think we have a cash society. But actually, if you think about it, all the money is produced by a push of a button. Everything is produced on computers, and the banks rely on deposits. They rely on saving in order for them to lend out more money. But what's happening now is money is flowing out of the banks and into places like cryptocurrency, into other areas like physical silver and gold as well. And this is exposing the banks hugely. So this is a big problem for them. So they need this reset for absolute survival, really, because if the banks collapsed, and they would have collapsed long ago, but they print the money and then they feed it to the banks to keep them propped up. It's like building a huge tower, a huge multi-level tower basically on quicksand. And so all they're doing is they're adding a few more floors to that tower. But you can imagine when it collapses, it's going to make a huge mess. So their plan is to create this digital currency, a central bank created digital money. And then it's because they can create it on a brand new system using their own version of a blockchain. And the debt will somehow be repackaged and it almost like kind of be tucked in a cupboard somehow. I mean, I'm not quite sure how that's going to work, but they have got plenty of tools at their disposal that they can use to try and cover up this debt. But they need to do it on their own terms. They need to keep control of the whole process. If something happened and a bank went bust, or if something systemic happened somewhere in the system and they lost control of the collapse, they could end up basically being cut right down to the ground, because they are the biggest holders of the debt. I mean, we know there's a huge consumer debt, we know there's a huge mortgage debt, but actually the cabal themselves, through their derivatives, which the derivatives is really just how they sell debt, and then they sell it multiple times, and each time it loses more and more value as the debt goes up. So this is how the last crisis came about. They were selling mortgage debt, and then it's like pass the parcel. And then the bank or the financial institution that's holding that package, when the system collapses, they're the ones that will go down. So the problem has got so huge now that we're literally running on the very edge of a major precipice. So where true cryptocurrency and blockchain come in is that the open source side of the technology. The open source is huge, because this is all the people in the world getting together and creating and perfecting the existing technology that is outside of the control of these banks. And the open sources, as I call them, and there's a lot of conscious people in this. There's a lot of money people, what we would call money people, investors and creators and inventors, but they are all united in one thing: they do not like the Federal Reserve and the current system. Even though there's a lot of wealthy people who are very, very disgusted with what's going on, but they themselves have to toe the line, or they can get their money taken out just like that, or they They're just basically they have a heart and they see the damage it's doing to the world. We're coming down. We're seeing the collapse of the matrix everywhere around us now. I mean, it takes a while to come into full view, but what we're witnessing in the world now is the collapse of their system. And it's sort of happening in slow motion, so we still can be caught like the deer in the headlights, or we can still be, oh, everything's fine, I've still got my job. But when this comes down, when this changes, it's going to be so sudden and so rapid. It's going to catch so many people unaware because they are not looking under the rug. They're not looking behind the curtain like I am and like I know a lot of you are. So this is why the open source cryptocurrency technologies, the blockchain, it is evolving into this huge decentralized, it's like a whole lot of computers all linked together. And by plugging into the blockchain, we become a part of this kind of community, and many communities. There's many communities being represented by certain tokens. Now, when I say token, I mean a cryptocurrency token. If you look at the meaning of the word token means a token gesture, or we think of it as like ancient money. Tokens were like these ancient coins, but really a token is really a physical representation of what's invisible in a certain economy that these blockchain and these open source companies are trying to fill. They're trying to create a new economy based on the people. And so a token economy, or tokenization, is where everything that we sell or buy or trade will be moved or bought or held using a cryptocurrency. And so I see the vision where everything in the world that we transact will be tokenized. And so it could be the token that the central bank create, or it could be all these other tokens that are being created also underneath them. Actually, the open source technology has got a jump on what the central bank are doing. They've got their computers are almost going back to the mainframe days. They're slow, they're big. They have upgraded to a certain extent, but the actual blockchain and what the decentralized communities are doing, and the some of the other add-ons to that who are doing their part, it is rapidly moving at such a fast pace that I don't think even it's actually like the genie that's gone out of the bottle. So in a token economy, what would that look like? It means that if you buy at the moment, we've got these things called NFTs. That's where people have their own signature artwork or their own signature. It could be photography. It could be
music.
Yeah, music. This is how it's starting. But you think of where any consumable goods will eventually be tokenized. So we'll go into a store and we'll buy our groceries, and we will take out our phone, or we will take out eventually a debit card that will be used just like an EFTPOS card, but you imagine it will have your favorite cryptos loaded on that card. So in many ways, it won't be too different to what we do now. We use a EFTPOS card for just about everything anyway. That's digitized to a certain degree. The trouble is, it's going through the same central channels that our current money runs through. Whereas if we are buying a good quality cryptocurrency, it's not. It's coming, in many cases, it's coming from the people. Because as we talked about staking, as you stake tokens, that's you literally minting your new cryptocurrency into existence simply by holding them in the pool. When I hold in the pool, if you stake them, that means that the amount or value of the tokens that you hold, that you stake, are made available as liquidity for the community or for the project or for the group, the community that surrounds that innovation. So they're not going to take the money because it's on the blockchain and they can't touch it.
Seamlessly. Tony, we missed out the last 30 seconds. I think what were you saying in the last 30 seconds?
What was I saying in the last 30 seconds?
Yeah. Talking about. You completely blanked out there. Yeah.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
It was the staking involved committing your value, your tokens you hold, to the whole community for the ecosystem as a whole to effectively run. So when people are buying and selling or trading tokens, you need liquidity. Without that means money available on tap. It means that it's the total value of the system. You could say it's there. If all the tokens that were issued by a certain project were available, that's their capitalization. That's the total amount of tokens in existence. That's what they're capitalized at. And this is where we get this capitalist economy. It's not a true pure capitalist economy in this sense. It's actually involving people, our labor, our blood, sweat, and tears for when we go to work. All that's happening now is that money is literally getting vacuumed, sucked up a tube via taxes and that to a central point. Whereas now we have the ability to participate at the ground floor in money distribution, in money printing, if you like. I know it's not technically being printed like cash, but it is being brought into existence and manifested by us through our staking. And then when that then is coming into our wallets as this interest, then that can go back out into the economy from us, and then they start having a value. Just like a classic example is Theta. I own this token called Theta. And when you stake Theta, you earn Theta fuel. And Theta fuel now, it was valued at 0.00011 cent or something. Now it's something like, I think it's up to around 40 cents now. And as more tokens are staked and people earn their Theta fuel, the time will come when your Theta fuel, you could well have that on a debit card or on your phone, and you could start paying. People will start accepting it as payment. So, and this is coming from many quarters, from different tokens that can be staked, are springing up everywhere. And so this is going to create a groundswell that is coming up from underneath. It's like coming up from under the ground, whereas at the moment we are subjected to money from the banks only, and they provide us with their money, which is losing value to the point where it's almost worthless. And then when we earn it, we have to spend a good, when you add up all taxes on taxes, they've done a calculation that's something like of 100% of our money we earn, 60% it's taken away from us. I mean, that is just astronomical. And all the money through central banks in each country all gather that up, and most of it finds its way back to one place in the world, the Federal Reserve and the IMF as well. Well, the IMF actually more deal with loans to countries. The Federal Reserve is really, but they're all owned by the same small group of people. So the token economy is intricately connected to staking, which is intricately connected to also smart contracts. So this is another way where we are cutting out the middleman. We're literally cutting out the middlemen. We're cutting out the banks. We're cutting out the banks' appointed middlemen, which are owned by the banks. So we're actually not just cutting out one middleman. We're cutting out, in many cases, 2 or 3 or several middlemen that are getting in the way, that are taking a fee, the fee for the FPOS, the fee that's in your bank account, the fees everywhere, the SWIFT fees. The fees are adding up to billions and billions of dollars every single day. Every single day. Fees, little micro fees, add up to a huge amount. And that puts a huge drain on the world as a whole. Well, we might think it's a very small amount, and so you ignore it. But that's providing a huge amount of power and control to the same people. And these are the people that want a green economy. These are the people that are creating carbon tax. These are the people that want to reset the economy. They want to ultimately take your private land ownership off you. They want to turn the land back to its pristine state, which is all well and good. But they will not look at other biodynamic, economically sound principles to enable us all to live on the planet quite easily with much lower pollution if we just went into organic principles, if we stopped the huge agri-business in the world is a massive player in the world. And the Monsanto, Bayer, these companies were originally weapon companies and from the World War. And now they are producing fertilizers, which are actually what's doing most of the damage to the farmland and to the waterways. And then you've got the pollution that their industries own, polluting the environment. It's these select cabal who own so much of the resources. They're the ones who are destroying the planet, and they're asking us to pay for it when we already have paid for it multiple times over already. So how is it fair that we should bear the burden of that when we're already at the absolute limit? We're already at the end of our tether. As you're seeing, poverty, starvation already is about a quarter of the population in the world have problems getting basic water, food, clean air, or just the basics of life and shelter. In Africa, this is another big reason why they do not want Africa to get electricity, because they said it's going to cause too much CO2. Yet they are living in such terrible conditions, they can't even get heating and lighting and basic, let alone food. So these people have the ability to provide plenty of food and shelter and heating and lighting for the whole entire population if they wanted to. The imbalance has got so distorted because people are not aware, by and large, of the part that our ignorance and how our willingness
Mm.
to just want to, stick to our own little bubble and not look outside that. As long as we are sort of comfortable in our own little tracks, it's too hard. But unless we start to make those tentative steps to step outside the bubble and start making some impact, then I believe the powers that be will get their way. But blockchain has now come along, and this is a major step in the right direction for the people. And I see it's only going to keep growing. The urgency of the Great Reset is a sign that they are worried about how the people are waking up. The more that they push the people through lockdowns and through some of the absolute draconian things that have been forced on us, is because they are desperate to get us to a point where the Great Reset can have a much greater impact on a much larger number of people, and they can basically turn the screws to their ultimate aim, which is a one world government and a one world currency. But they're never going to have domination over a one currency again. The US dollar is basically on its last legs as well, and as a reserve currency, which was always designed in partnership with oil, it actually was backed by oil, which is kind of ironic when you think now they want to destroy oil. Oil is actually a renewable resource. It is a completely renewable resource, and even though it I accept it's a polluter and all that, but it could be managed in a much better way. And there's again where the blockchain will come in, because we will be able to communicate via the blockchain without being censored. We will be able to get information through the blockchain as well as money. We'll be able to create our own money, and with this groundswell of encrypted money is going to collectively be a major opposition to the central banks. But so many more people are aware of them and what they're doing now. They've been brought out of the shadows, and so I see we're at this point in the world now where it's like the great reckoning. We're coming down to the wire. It will appear like we've lost, I believe. People are going to get very, very fearful, but I believe we will snatch victory from the jaws of defeat. And I use that statement because it will appear like the world is literally lost, and then I think there will be something happening that will bring a lot of hope and light, and almost like you could say an instant awareness. It's like a rug being pulled off our heads, and suddenly we can see the light.
So, Tony, how can each of us here contribute to this change that's going on, and how can we start participating in the in what's coming up in the blockchain, for instance, NFTs and smart contracts, and what's a good way to start getting into it, dipping our toes into it?
Well, firstly, I think first getting a bit of a handle on the big picture of what crypto can do. Get into some research. Buy a little bit of crypto, so that when you've bought a little bit, then you by experience you're understanding the process of what's involved. It is a little bit technical, but I believe if we don't do anything, if we just stand on the sidelines, we're not playing in the playing field, we're just like a spectator, and it's like we're just waving the cabal through and saying, well, you do whatever you like, I'm just going to watch you, and they'll just dictate the terms of what they think we need. So by buying some is kind of voting for the blockchain for a start. And then you've got to know what you're buying. You've got to know whether you're buying, are you buying a security token? And our security token is secured by real hard assets. And you're going to see security tokens are going to be taking the place of the stock market. I absolutely know it. We're already involved in a crypto. Some of you might know of the W Crew. We're involved in a UGPay, Ever-Rich system. We have bought a security token, and we are the leaders in the world where we have tokenized an investment fund. Now, you think of all the big, this is what a hedge fund are. Hedge funds, mutual funds, you've probably heard of those. ETFs, which is exchange traded fund. Pension funds. This is where a lot of the big money is held. And so we are setting the pace by tokenized our whole investment fund, but it's not the cabal's investment fund, it's our investment fund. Because when we buy the token, we immediately get co-ownership. Not only do we get the token, it has value, we get it's a digital shareholding in the entire fund. So that is groundbreaking. But we're going to see tokenized housing, cars, all consumable goods, or at least we'll be able to buy it. So if we start off by purchasing a little, learning what a wallet is, storing it into the wallet, then you can start. You might want to sort of send it to someone. So that's first, but it comes from research, and this is one of the reasons why I do the live stream. I'm trying to give you a leg up. I've spent 6 years making a lot of mistakes and stumbling around in the dark for the first couple of years, but now because I've started to learn through experience and experiential understanding, I now have the confidence to come and do something like this and talk to you, because it's only through my own initiative really that I can actually do this. So it really starts from starting somewhere.
And for some of you who are artists or musicians or collectors, there's markets out there where you can already start getting involved in NFTs. So NFTs are non-fungible tokens. I think non-fungible means something that can't be split up. It's a discrete item. Is that right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
NFTs are this is like just recent in the last 18 months or so, people are turning their artworks, music, even their physical collectibles, antiques or whatever, into NFTs and then putting them on markets. There are different markets called mintable and rareable, etc., where there's a huge trade me going on. It's like a crypto trade me, and it's a very interesting market because people who have invested in cryptocurrency and who have made a lot of money are now looking to invest in things of value, in crypto items of value that they can hold or resell, and so there's a whole new market within the crypto itself. So it's a fascinating thing, because recently an artist who did crypto digital art, he sold his artwork for $70 million on the crypto market. So there's a huge market going on in there, and it's an interesting thing to look out for, because once you're on there, you actually claim your authorship of whatever artwork that you do, and it's in there forever. It's immutable. So that's one area. And the other areas, I think what Tony is talking about, this ecosystem, which is called UGPay, where there's a whole ecosystem of industries, of investments, and of services, credit and debit cards, currency exchanges. You can have your own bank. So I think getting involved in, pardon? Sorry?
Education.
Education, yeah. So you can get it involved in ecosystems that have the whole thing in it, and you can start learning by joining these ecosystems. Is that right, Tony?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And then what happens is that is going to spawn a whole lot more value and money and economy for people, because the security tokens are the ones that get staked generally, and that creates another token called a currency token or a utility token. And this is another key aspect of crypto space. For it to work, obviously the currency has to be accepted and used. It has to be accepted as readily as what our cash has been accepted now. So this is happening. And so you need a use case for your currency. So in the case of the UGPay economy ecosystem, we're literally creating our own economy. Everything that would be in an economy is being created in there, and we have our own community to back it up. And so we're a case in point where we're showing the way how this can be done. But there are just absolutely thousands and thousands and thousands of projects appearing all over the place. You don't need to be creating your whole economy. You can be creating just one little subset. Like there's loaning out. There's also loaning and borrowing section. There will be real estate will be as already I know is going to be coming. There's going to be there's the whole decentralized aspect that people are working on as a specific. There's so much. Oh yeah, and the smart contracts. So in other words, cutting for in payment of a service. At the moment now, we go to get services. We get it could be marketing. It could be in the accountant, getting your accounts done. A lawyer. Big one is lawyers. These guys are going to be significantly disrupted. Any service is going to be disrupted because effectively what the service they offer can be put into a smart contract, which means basically it's computer language that can be transmitted then across the internet. You token as your payment, and you can do it just like that. You can do it just so easy, and this is such a fast evolving space. I know you will be going, what? How can you be doing that? But believe me, it started off in a very generalized way. It started off with Bitcoin. Just started off with Bitcoin, and everyone thinks of the blockchain as Bitcoin. No, Bitcoin is just it's the first version of a cryptocurrency, but it's the blockchain that was created underneath it, and that is the key technology here. Bitcoin is just the tip of the iceberg, but Bitcoin now has become very obsolete, actually. It cannot be used as a currency. It's far too slow. It can take hours for it to settle. It's expensive as well. So that's not going to meet the ends of a currency. But the big boys are promoting it as the next big thing, and it's a store of value, and it's like the digital gold. That's just a PR campaign. So don't get hung up on Bitcoin as representation of the wider blockchain space. They are using it for distraction, and I know a lot of people are falling into that trap. So you've got to put that to the side. Same with Ethereum. Ethereum, the second blockchain created, and that was the one that came up with the smart contract idea. But both Bitcoin and Ethereum are based on what's called proof of work, which is the basic algorithms that they use, and they have to use miners. And this is where it gets very heavily manipulated. It's just buy banker, you can buy off the miners, you can convince other people that can make bad decisions. When there's a lot of money involved, people are very susceptible to being bribed or to being coerced. We want to eliminate that. This is where there's a beneficial side to artificial intelligence. If the intelligence that is written, the code that is written for artificial intelligence is written in such a way so it can do the job between person to person without any middleman, and it's done fast, and it's done cheap, and it's done where you know the result. The result is predictable every single time, and a predictably positive is a game breaker.
Yeah.
Smart contracts are quite smart, but again, it comes down to also the consciousness of what they were written for and how they're applied and implemented in the real world. So I used to be dead set against artificial intelligence. Don't want to even know it. I also was scared of any technology, cashless society. I have come back into the middle with that now, and I realize that everything has a positive or negative side, and this is where it's ultimately about people and consciousness. That is the overriding factor. It will always be coming down to a collective consciousness, and as people wake up, we start networking in a kind of energetic way that people aren't even aware of, except as you get more conscious, you will become aware of. Telepathy is the beginning stages of it. The blockchain acts like a digital brain that is almost telepathic in the way it works. These are very, very conscious people that have created the blockchain, because it's a whole new technology and system that literally can smash the old archaic binary analog system to the ground. And that system is what's holding back, to a significant degree, it's holding back humanity. But it has to be balanced consciousness.
So Tony, Lynn has got an interesting question, and it's about mining. Now, before I ask you that, we know that Bitcoin uses mining to create blocks, and this mining uses up a huge amount of processing power, and as a result, it uses up a huge amount of electricity. In fact, some people say Bitcoin mining uses up, I don't know how many percent of the world's electricity consumption. So Lynn asks, so Tony, do you mean that not all crypto has mining attached?
They have coins where they call them pre-mine, allocate a set number and limited supply. The more limited, the more valuable the coin could likely be. With Bitcoin, however, the computers, the mining farms, the server farms, they've got massive acres and acres of these huge computers with these specialized chips. What they are doing is they are literally they are doing the mining, and that does use a heck of a lot of power. And even though I don't agree with some of the things that they talk about, CO2 and using a lot of electricity and all that, that is It is a problem. It is a problem. So, as I said, proof of work means they are mined into existence over time using these high-powered computers. That is proof of work system. Proof of stake, so where we get to stake our coins, they hardly use any power at all. Very, very minimal. Very minimal. The coins are already pre-allocated. They will be listed in their white paper. So whenever you're looking at a token, look at their white paper and they will tell you how much their supply is. And if it's trillions, I would run a mile. I would not be looking at anything where they have huge number in supply. There will be a scam or a gimmick or something like that for sure. For sure, there will be some tokens like XRP. There are, I think it's several billion, I think, from memory. I know it's quite a lot. But if they are solving a problem of moving money around the world, then they will need a bigger supply because there's going to be a bigger adoption. Same with Stellar. That's another coin I like. These are solving the problems with the banking side of things by and large. They are going to help solve some of this debt crisis that we've got. So if you've got a proof of there is no mining as such. They're pre-allocated, basically. But you could say that when you stake your coins, the reward token that you earn, you could say that has been mined. And they even got mining now where you simply just you have an app on your phone and you tap it and that's mining it. But they are using virtually no power. A lot of those are gimmicks, and you really got to look again at the use case. Is this going to be used in the real world? Because I believe 80% of the current cryptocurrencies in existence are going to go was when the Great Reset, when they make the move to start implementing that, you're going to see a lot of shifting and shaking going on in the world. There's going to be, because the power play that's happening at the moment is for who gets to run the financial system. Ultimately, that is the crown prize for anyone who's trying to control the world. We've just got to hope that there is one side that is a lot more than the other, and I believe it is and will be, because people are rising up and waking up, and we're the ones that will hold them to account. But the existing lot that have been in power through generations and generations and generations, I believe that we need a change of that guard. Otherwise, we're going to get the same as what we've had for the last several hundred years.
Right. And any other questions? Anyone? Any practical questions? Questions on how to get started? Questions on where to go? Questions on what to do? Or more information around staking or tokenization? Feel free to ask questions. Everyone's a newbie in this space, so there's no real experts, because this is a developing and emerging situation. So in fact, there's no one completely knows the situation and where it's going, or we are all learning together. So feel free to ask them what you think are the most basic questions. And the power of this economy, the blockchain economy, whether it's NFTs or staking, the power is in the number of people participating. So the more it becomes a people thing, and the more people are involved, the more value it's going to create, and the more effective it's going to be. So yeah, we've got a couple of questions here. Lynn is asking, I already have an Evo Rich wallet. Can I put other coin into this? And hold on. No. Okay. Yep. Okay. So you would keep your other coins on other wallets, Like I keep, I have an Exodus wallet, and within my Exodus wallet, I can have, I don't know, 20, maybe even 30 or 40 other types of coins. And some of them I can stake in my wallet itself, which I have done. So have a look at the different types of wallets. And then Michelle. Yeah. Sorry, Tony. Yeah.
I was just going to add something to that before you go to the next one. The Everrich wallet will hold W Crew, which is the registered security token, the Crew, which is the original membership token when we were buying the education and being gifted it, and the UNTB, which is our currency token, and the USDU, which is the stable coin. Stable coins are pegged 1-to-1 to the current US dollar. That's the reserve currency. The stable coins are good because you can transfer your coins to the stable coin, and then you can buy other currencies, other cryptocurrencies with that stable coin. Or you can park your money in there if you think that the market's going down and you want to try and hedge against the volatility. You might put it in there just to try and have a breathe.
Okay. Yeah.
So, yeah. But
and so would you? Sorry.
There is our exchange.
Yes, I was going to say that.
There will be other tokens loaded on the exchange, on Unitex exchange. I haven't been pushing that or telling a lot of people about that because I know a lot of them are already up to the eyeballs with everything else, and it's not fundamental because newbies aren't going to suddenly go out and start trying to figure out the exchange straight away. There's a bit of complexity to it, and it's mainly for the traders and for people who are buying and selling.
Yes. Okay. So yes, and I think all of us who sort of get onto the Everrich UGPay system will eventually find our way around. We'll learn, the different areas and how to apply them. I think that'll all come in due time. And Michelle is asking, can I invite those in my group here, Tony? Yes, I think this is it's a private group, but yes, feel free to add to the numbers, I think. Is that right, Tony?
Yeah. So which group is that? You mean invite them onto the live stream or invite them onto
the Krypton-Knight group? Yes, what were you meaning, Michelle?
Yeah, Krypton-Knight, invite them into the Krypton-Knight, and if they are a member of Everrich, the private Facebook group, but yes, certainly invite them into Krypton-Knight because that is the general group about cryptocurrencies and blockchain in general.
Yes, and the Krypton-Knight group is where Tony wants to educate the public. So I think, although it is a private group, I think, but is it a private group, Tony, or is it a public group?
It's a public group.
Okay, yeah. So yes, so whoever is interested in the blockchain economy, yes, they're very welcome onto the Krypton-Knight group because the whole idea is education. Yeah. Good.
This is where for our token this is why I think you should join up with Global Unit Pay. Get verified with Global Unit Pay. This is going to make a massive difference to us being able to use our tokens in the real world, because then they will be loaded up on a debit card, which eventually will be accepted by merchants around the world. So that is an important part going forward.
And what we're going to see is with the cryptocurrencies that we have in our wallet, we'll be able to do jobs for each other, either offer services or products, and be able to pay each other through those cryptocurrency wallets, which is then will add value, will build the economy and add value to that crypto economy.
Yes, and we can and we can load Bitcoin on there, and we can load other top flight currencies will be loaded on there as well. And as time goes on, that will continue to evolve.
Yes. Well, we've just about hit 5 o'clock. So if you have any last questions, otherwise, any last words, Tony?
My last words really, I'm going to keep going on about it. I know that it's difficult with time, and but it's because we're short of time that we're short of finances, and we have to make time. We have to stop doing things that aren't productive, and I believe we have to start allocating some time every day, or at least every, to exploring what this is about. Especially if you're a holder of crypto, it's not any good to just be passive with it. You've got to sort of delve in it, because it will open up so many more doors to creating a freedom of life. It will give you so many more choices, because as you learn more, you'll realize that knowledge is power. When we're on the verge of a fascist society, where we can own nothing and they're going to own everything, and we're supposedly going to be happy. The thing that we've got to do as a block to that is we've got to get active researching, particularly I believe this area, and working on ourselves, finding out getting into nature, finding out where our energy source comes from. Because our ultimate resource is energy. If we don't have any energy, we can't do any real good production, which means we're not earning what we're really worth, which means we are constantly going to be the mouse on the wheel. So build up your knowledge on the currencies you hold, and on how the system works together. There's many dots, just as we've been joining dots on how the world system works. We can join the dots in how the financial ecosystem works, especially you don't have to do what I did and research all the existing system. Just find out how blockchain works and how it all interconnects together, and how that is evolving very, very
cool. Well, over the next few weeks, we will be talking more and more on this, and introducing you to going deeper, and introducing you to other concepts. So if you do have any questions, feel free to ask them on the Facebook page, or contact Tony on the message, on the Facebook message, and say with your questions, and then we can work out other topics that are really relevant to you. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. Thanks a lot, Tony, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Now, is there a plan for next week? It's Easter Friday. Is there a plan for Earth Star Freedom Friday?
I'll still do a Freedom Friday on that day. It'll around our natural intelligence, and I'm going to be speaking about water, about the how the element of water, how important it is on so many levels. It's a metaphor for us being in flow, but it's also a reality for us as we're made of water. So I'm going to talk about the state of being in a liquid state versus being in a frozen state versus being in a fluid state. That's what we want to get. We want to get in the flow. And money is intricately tied to water energy, emotions.
The flow of money, yes.
And the flow of money is energy and motion, and money is energy and motion. But if we get over emotional in our life, money will be like water through our fingers. We're not catching it. So I want to go into emotional versus mental balance.
Great. Okay, well, join us next Friday. So thanks very much, everyone. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Cool. Thanks. See you.